Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anonymous Live. Hope you guys are having a great week. Excited to dive in. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late. Everything is firing up. And there's nothing really to announce at the top of today's stream, but I did want to say that you guys, in a previous stream, you guys taught me something. This is a totally stupid thing, but you guys taught me in a stream recently that driving in silence is not normal. It's something I've always done. I've always driven in silence. Never been one to drive with music. And I took that challenge, and I've been driving with music. And it's gotten so out of hand that I'm now making playlists. What is going on? This driving with music thing is actually pretty cool, it turns out. So I'm enjoying that. Thank you for the challenge to start driving with music. Who knew it would be so great? I feel like it feels like I'm driving inside of a pair of headphones. That's what it feels like. You learn something new every day. But silly little aside. Okay. What's my driving genre? I'm really into funk music, so I've got a massive funk playlist going right now. So yeah, lines are opening, and some calls are coming in, but I'm still getting ready. Give me another 10 seconds, and I will be caught up. All right. Excellent. Okay, lines are open, and I'm ready. So we are ready to go whenever. Here we go. We're going to take the first call at random. Hello, thanks for calling. Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Can we start with your age and a brief introduction?
I will be 40 at the end of August, which is monumental, I guess, in the sense of the trip around the sun.
That's a
you
big
and I
one.
had talked before.
Oh.
Okay. I was the guy that was continually rambling and just, I saw somebody, you read a comment back then about somebody trauma dumping,
Mm-hmm.
a term I've never heard before.
Oh, okay. So what's the reason for the call? Do you want to jog our memory on your call and then tell us what the reason for the call tonight is?
Oh, 1 second. Got it. Damn it. I thought I got it.
Can you turn off your speakers? Buddy. We're getting some feedback.
That's what I was trying to stop. Okay, got it. Sorry. My apologies.
No problem.
So.
Happy early birthday. That's a
Thank
big
you,
one.
buddy.
40.
It's going to be a legendary year. I'm really looking forward to it. A trip to Costa Rica, a trip to Germany, a trip to Italy. My wife loved to travel. Fun, but one of the things that attracted me to her was she's German. She's already cultured and ready to travel, but that's not the reason I called.
All right. So what is the reason for the call?
I moved here 5 years ago, and I kept stats of how many times I've gotten mad. And this was last Sunday I got mad for the fourth time since I've moved here, and I realized it. And the person that I've gotten mad at, not to specify whatever the next social interaction we had to be within the same group of people for an extended amount of time. And I outshine the guy. I have 3 rules in my life. Try to make somebody happy. Try to make somebody smile that you don't know. And then know that you can't make everybody happy. I'm trying to live by that. And this altercation we had, which was like the maddest I've been for the 4th time in said area where I live, I outshined him because this guy was a succubus. And I think what happened yesterday when my friend, who was a high school friend, we both moved out of the same state we grew up in. We moved to a different destination, and we're both still alive. And he was here last night, and I stayed up too late. I'm super tired right now, but it was totally worth it to have that conversation with him about like how lucky we like truly are to have outlived where we were birthed for whatever reason, small, big, medium, large, whatever you want to call anything. And after that soul-finding conversation last night with somebody that you've grown up with and like went through like really the developmental part of your life with, like if you didn't have people around you to like help coerce you towards the goodness, like no one's alive anymore. And it wasn't necessarily a call to ask. Last time I talked to you, I spilled it on the table and I said a bunch of things like, hey, you can't give away where I misunderstood that at the time that I called, but this call was more to share. I thought after today and dealing with this guy that I really didn't like, and I didn't really want to be around him, and then I was forced to be around him, and then I outshined him with the light. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. And Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory is my favorite movie ever. But I guess that's all I wanted to share was that little tidbit of moving ever so close to forward.
So you're dealing with some anger management, and you were in an altercation, and then you were forced to be with this person in a group setting for an extended period of time, and it escalated. And how did that turn out? It sounds like
No, the first time, this was Sunday. Today's Tuesday. Right. 2 days later, I'm still not enjoying this person, and I got forced to be with them on today, 2 days later. And there was no altercation today. Like, I put my sunglasses on. I limited eye contact. I limited verbal affirmation, and I just outshined them. Not getting specific in any of the. That does sound cloudy, but yeah. In a moment where other people were around, I made sure to know that I was still trying to create happy. That's my new motto: create happy, and any of that.
Okay. Is there something you wanted to process, or something that you want? I'm in that mode, so I apologize if I wasn't tracking with your story. This is a place where we try to create a safe place where people can share something that's on their mind that's difficult. Because most people don't want to hear difficult things, and so we try to create an outlet for people to share whatever's on their mind at any time. So, is there something that you wanted to process?
Should I refer to the last time I called? Because I tossed a lot at you and at like rapid fire to try to process.
What's the reason for the call tonight? I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to. We've got other callers calling in, and we try to get to. We never are able to get to all the callers each week, so I'm just trying to make sure we.
Yeah, by no means. I was attempting to make my call short, but if there was a question that I would have about like for furtherance, is how to deal with like the success. Because I know I've watched a lot of what happens. I'll listen to a lot of what you talk to people about, and a lot of it's really sad. And I think that there's the other side of the leaf that you can turn. Like, how do you deal with that success? Like, how do you deal with people looking up to you? How do you make sure you're a good guide? Or there's so many different words for like how you can just dealing with success for me, coming where I came from, is really hard. Like it's more painful than actual pain. Like,
interesting.
Yeah. Success hurts. It makes me sad because I've lost so much before that like I feel as if I don't deserve it. The success is pretty hard to deal with. I mean, on whatever level. So I guess if we're trying to get, I felt successful today, and Julian is a good man, and I decided to, I guess, success. How do you deal with not letting people down after they already told you you were successful?
So this person sounds like they complimented you, or they expressed, and maybe I missed something. I'm sorry. I was listening for. I was trying to zero. You're mentioning a lot of different
That doesn't
things.
tie into what I said earlier. I was just saying success in general. Had nothing to do with what I said earlier. Sorry.
It's no problem.
Success is hard to deal with. Like,
let's talk about
people
success.
start looking up to you.
Yeah,
it's
that's
hard.
interesting. And is anger something that you mentioned anger earlier? That's the only other note I have written down that seemed like, I try to keep notes to keep myself focused, because sometimes calls go on here for 30 minutes, sometimes longer. And of course, I don't know anybody here, so that was the only thing I had written down. But I also heard you say struggling to accept success, and that's where do you think that comes from?
Watching everybody around me crumble throughout my entire life. Everybody. Having to go dress up, and I told myself later in life, I'm not dressing up for any funerals anymore. There's no point in me having some weird clothes on. You want to remember me in a tux? You want to remember me as me, but burying a lot of people, and then success is like actually making revolutions around the sun. It's hard for me to deal with, because I know a lot of people that throughout my life that I thought were the greatest thing on earth, and they're gone. Success of life, man. It's been hurting me a lot lately. Like, I don't feel deserving of the next breath, because I've watched so many other people that deserve a little more. It's a weird concept. I'm sorry.
No, it's not weird. It's life isn't always fair, and bad things happen to good people sometimes, and sometimes good things happen to bad people, and the world is full of chaos, and it's confusing. No, nobody understands it. I'm not claiming to understand that chaos or where it comes from, but that is one of the most difficult things that people call in here talking about, at least. And it is fascinating, isn't it, that nobody knows the answer to that question, why that is. And no religion seems to have a good answer. Well, I'm not saying anger is a gift. Anger is a secondary emotion.
No, I'm just saying, like, anything's a gift. Emotion is a gift, but anger is a gift. That was Raging Machine reference, sorry. But yeah.
Oh, you're making a reference I didn't catch. I need a soundboard sound for when I miss things. That would be my number one sound. No, I don't know you well enough
to toss those at you, sorry.
No, you don't.
Yeah, man. Sorry. Yeah, you can get on to the next caller, I guess. Unless you want to delve deeper into, like, the success is hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
it makes me sad to know that I have all the things that I could ever want, and then I feel like I let the people that are gone down, in the sense that I'm continuing on. Oh, and it's weird. I'm in a weird state.
Yeah.
What do you call that? What?
Cognitive dissonance. Oh, I was just saying you're not. I'm trying to make you feel comfortable. I wasn't fully tracking with what you were calling to share in at first, but you mentioned a time constraint. We're not anywhere close to. We try to keep calls to 30 minutes here. We've only been talking for about 10. And so I wasn't trying to rush.
I didn't know there was a restraint. Like, I'm familiar with. Okay,
yeah, no problem.
Cool. Okay,
I wasn't trying to rush you off.
All my senses in the last 2 days have been really heightened, so I'm on a little different level.
No problem.
If you understand what I mean. Sometimes males ovulate, or whatever you want to call it.
So LC from the chat says, is there no model for success that you've seen?
As in a person or
sure.
Goal?
Yeah, a person. You mentioned, I think that comes from earlier when you mentioned you have a hard time accepting success after seeing everything in your life crumble, after seeing everyone else in your life crumble. And so I was kind of wondering that too. I thought it was an interesting question. Are there any other people you can think of that that have been models of success for you?
No.
Hmm.
Not that I personally know.
What about your marriage? Are you? I assume you love your wife. I assume you're grateful for your marriage. I assume your marriage is something that you don't feel guilty about, having a successful marriage. Am I wrong about that?
I do, actually. I do.
Really?
Successful anything.
Are you grateful for your marriage? I'm not trying to be insensitive.
No,
I
absolutely love my wife. I love my wife, but successful furtherance is really hard for me to accept. Like, I moved on from, like, your drama and grossness. I'm no longer in that. Good question.
Yeah, so do you know any successfully married people who've not been divorced or?
Oh, no, I know them, but, like, when you asked that question, I immediately got, like, a rush to my body telling me that it was, success isn't defined by your view of other people. It's all internal. It just really is.
Yeah, and money's
like, I don't give a shit what John did anything. This is the most money I've ever had in my life, but money, I can't think of anything to buy.
Good.
Money isn't
Save
success.
It. Save it.
It's just going to sit there. I'll die with it and donate it to a dog shelter, but
there you go.
Success isn't defined by money. Like, success is, I think, an internal question, and that's something I've been battling with because I donated a gigantic chunk of my life to serving the betterment of people working with people with disabilities, and 12 years. I already lived the life of success, but now I don't know what my new success is as well. Weird.
I see. So, yeah, I mean, success in terms of money, there's different types of success is what I was getting at earlier when I asked.
That's all I thought success was when I was growing up, was money, and I got to money, and I don't think that's success. I don't know what the next.
Yeah.
My buddy last night, we were talking, he's like, you need to go work with people with disabilities and, like, volunteer your time. And I told him, I was like, dude, I can't go back into that field because, like, it's all or nothing. I can't just, like, dip in and dip out and expect to make some kind of difference. It's gross.
I think I am remembering our previous call based on what you just said.
I would hope. Sorry.
You worked in...
you told me to work through some stuff, and I did.
Good. Yeah, I believe you called in about a month ago or maybe longer saying that you had been working with people with disabilities your entire life, and I believe you used the phrase, some phrases like you'd been cleaning up people's piss and poop and stuff like that, and then you got let go, and you did this stuff because you cared. You didn't do it for the money, but you did it because you cared, and then you were let go, if I remember correctly, in a very unfair way.
Forcibly, yes.
Forcibly resigned, okay. And then you were struggling, I think, on the last call we had where you had this dilemma of whether or not to keep it up in this business because it seemed like it was just hard to make ends meet and to get anywhere with it, and people don't seem to value your time. So what did you glean since the last call? And then I am curious to talk a little bit more about the anger stuff and where that comes from, and then and maybe you don't know, and that's okay, but we can just talk about it for a minute. And then the success stuff, like struggling to accept that, that's all very interesting and relatable. Some people in the chat are saying they relate with it, so let's keep going.
I am not normal, and neither are you.
You're not what?
Normal. I'm not normal, you're not normal, nobody's normal. Normal it doesn't exist. Let everybody in the chat and the world know that.
It exists in spreadsheets and distribution charts, and because of the Greeks.
You need Excel or Lambda to sentiently tell you whether or not. So that was 12 years of my life working with people with disabilities, and I also was a professional disc basketball coach for 8 years. And the year that I quit, they won the state championships. I mentioned that to you, I believe, before. I donated so much of my life to this. I was so invested in all of it, and I would come home from work 5 days a week and have to take an hour and a half and get away from it. And I loved it all so much. What was your first question again? Because I'm going into the past, and I'm trying to be in the now. What was your first question along the lines of working with people with disabilities? I forget.
Well, yeah. What I asked what you gleaned since the last call. You said you did some work, some self. I can't remember how you put it. You did some self-reflection, we'll say, and then you.
Oh, okay.
And that led you to call in tonight. So what was that? What was that like? And what did you?
That was that conversation last night with my friend from high school, telling him when he told me that I should go volunteer. I said, I can't go back into the system unless I'm fully in. I can't dip in and dip out of someone's life like someone in a wheelchair that I'm trying to teach how to work a really overpriced fucking iPad. The amount of money people spend on like the adaptive devices that people use with disabilities, that they mark like an iPad costs, I don't know, $700, I say. This thing costs like $3,000. Adaptive equipment that gives somebody the ability to talk.
Mm-hmm.
That's how gross that was within the system. But yeah, being that person that is consistently being there and taking the time to show them the ins and outs of this machine, that it gives them the ability to communicate. And the amount of people that I've watched throughout the years working in that system, they're not involving as much time as they need to further that person's communication skills. So you spend, 5 days a week, you spend 2 hours with them, 10 hours a week, helping them learn this thing because it's new to them. And the person can't talk, they're using a screen. They can use the eye tracker and move the little mouse around, do all this stuff. They have all this technology to make it great. You do all this work, and then they go home, and then the person at home doesn't. They're lazy. They want to use the quick route to make this person comfortable and better. So that conversation last night with my buddy Chet, that's his nickname, concluded that he tried to talk me back into the field, and I backed off and said I just can't do it because it's an investment. Like I'm all in. Like if I'm like trying to help somebody live a better life, I can't dip in and dip out because you just can't do that. If you dip in and dip out in someone's life and expect to help them in a successful way, it needs to be a commitment of time. I mean, it's so crazy with the technology nowadays. Like, you call somebody and they won't answer.
I know.
You text somebody. You text somebody and they will.
Sometimes.
So, yeah, success is what? Isn't a like on Facebook. It's a text on your fucking mobile phone that you've had since 6th grade, or nowadays like kindergarten.
So what does? Yeah, I agree fully. I'm trying to keep us on track because we do try to keep calls here to 30 minutes so we can get to multiple callers who want to call in and share.
21 minutes, 47 seconds.
Yeah, and also I want to say, this won't take away from the time, but I want to take a second to ask everybody to be patient with Nightbot in the chat. Nightbot is still being set up. It's here to help our mods. The mods requested Nightbot for months, and I'm just now getting it set up, so please bear with us. If Nightbot does anything fishy, please tell us. Please don't leave if Nightbot is mean to you. You might need an adjustment.
Mean Nightbot.
Yeah, so let's dive into... What do you think? You're talking about this success and struggling to accept it, but it sounds like you're searching for something to apply yourself to, and I think that's great. I mean, we all need goals. We can't give up on having goals. It sounds like you're in a season of what those goals are kind of evolving. So, and maybe I don't know. I don't even know you, but maybe you're coming into some new chapter where your priorities get rearranged, or new interests come in. It sounds like you're some kind of an empath. It sounds like you value helping others and assisting others. I'm not sure what that. I remember that part of our call last time, so I don't want to spend too much time turning the wheels there, because I can't give you career advice, and I don't know what the answer to that is for you. But
my job, I love my job now.
Okay, what do you do now?
Job,
Don't tell us where you work.
I never thought the job existed, but I roll around some downtown version of a city and water plants inside of businesses. They have nice plants. I water them.
Okay.
It is. I never thought I'd ever get paid. It's my second favorite job next to people with disabilities. This is so easy. I walk around with a watering can and a pair of scissors and a towel in case I miss the pot.
Caring for people and plants.
I was saying it earlier, and I guess I need to put that as the fourth, is give life. I said my 3 little mantras earlier, but yeah, giving life. I love plants, always have. Life would not be around without photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is like, that's why we get to be carnivores and herbivores, is because photosynthesis, period.
Yeah. So let's talk about this success thing, because you're talking about giving life, and that's a value of yours, but each day we live is a success. If you don't die, if you don't get hit by a bus, if you don't starve.
Winning, punching the mouse.
I'm not trying to be cheeky. I'm just saying, like, that's a version of success.
No.
And I'm saying it not to challenge you, but it sounded like to you, maybe it's success with money. Like maybe your view of money growing up, maybe that's what we should zero in on. But it sounds like maybe you grew up with no money, or you grew up in a tumultuous situation.
I had no money growing up.
Okay, so
now I have money, and I grew up with no money, and now I have money that I don't even know what to buy.
Be grateful for that. Maybe be in no rush to buy.
No, I get it. No, and I feel it's a successful thing, but like I wasn't just dropped on this planet to earn enough money to feel comfortable. I feel like I just need to change more lives and be more involved in the people that don't have all the opportunities, because I can help them get them. That's just what I got to do, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
I'm not going to go to hospice and share that pain, but I want to give life. I'm not. Although I can go make someone on their deathbed happy, but that's not making a difference, is it? I mean, it is in the moment. See what I mean? That conundrum that I'm in. Like, I really want to help people with disabilities, but I go help them and then find out all the help that I'm doing gets canceled by people that are underpaid, and they get no sick days. They get no like. This comes down to, like, why? Okay, here's a question. You know why teachers get paid too much? Sorry. Do you know why teachers don't get paid enough?
Yeah, I mean, they're completely underfunded. I feel like you're getting at something deeper, though, that I'm not following.
I can answer that with the reason that teachers don't get paid a lot of money, because as soon as you get paid a lot of money, you become someone that's there for the wrong reasons, which is the money. I worked at that place with people with disabilities for 12 years, and I left there at like $13.67 an hour in not New York, not Chicago era. 12 years at a job, and you're making less than $15 an hour.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I want to keep this focused on you, so we don't spin wheels too much on. I
wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yeah, I follow you.
Yeah, it was a success thing.
Right. Steve Jobs is he had a lot of faults, obviously, and he was pretty honest with those in the biography.
He created a monopoly.
Yeah, he had a lot of faults for sure, but he was
The
honest
guy
about
who
those.
created a monopoly. I mean, his
Yeah.
business model was genius. If you want to put someone in a corner and tell them you can't do this unless you buy this.
But I reference him because he had tons of money, and he infamously lived in a completely unfurnished studio apartment in Palo Alto for a long time, for years. He just had like a couple paintings on the wall, no couch, no, not even a bed. He slept on the floor. He didn't buy anything because he didn't want to, and he had all this money. And I use him as an example here because to say that there's no reason to feel bad about having money. There's no reason to feel bad about not spending it. There's no reason to feel bad about saving it and giving it to charity. Those are all noble things. And
I'll give you my time, but not my money. That's been my motto for a long time. I'll give you all my time in the world, but when it comes financially, I'm not going to give you $5. Right. It's just not going to happen. That changes the relationship.
Right.
With anybody, with anything. I do have a badge I could put on my coat and saying that I was in Atlanta for a concert, and I actually got $3 from a bum. He asked me for money. I said, well, can I have some money? And he gave me $3. I gave it back, but I mean, that's one of my favorite stats of all time.
That's an amazing story.
Bumped money from a bum in Atlanta. Like, hey, man, we got any change? I'm like, what do you got, man? I was super drunk and I had an Uber / the guy. Yeah, it was legendary.
That is legendary.
I gave it back.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, the chat, I gave it back. $3.
That is so funny.
I think it was $3 and like 15 cents or something. I gave it back. But I don't know. I have a constant. My entire world is like literally fucking with people, and my wife hates it. But I continue to like fuck with the norm. Like, I'm tired of being a Walmart employee. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, success is defined by who, when, where, what, why. I don't know. I am successful at being alive right now, but at the same time, like, how do I push myself to be that 12-year great that I was for $13.67 an hour at the end? How do I get back to just helping and doing all that? And does it matter?
Did you have a good relationship with your parents?
Money and shit. With my parents?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you were broke growing up, but were your parents good parents, or could there be something there?
No, they're terrible. They're bad.
Okay, I want to suggest you read a book, and then I'd like to hear from you again at some point if you want to call again. It sounds like you're very proactive. I'm really happy to hear that you used that last. I'm really happy to hear that you used that last call for what it was worth, and then took that and ran with it in your own way and made it your own.
No, I'm jogging moderately.
You're
I'm
modest.
When Forrest Gump to tell me that, like, I just felt like stopping.
So your parents. There's a book that I recommend to people who call in sounding like kind of stuck, and I'd say you sound like you're kind of stuck. And I'm wondering.
I raised myself.
Okay, so this is the book I want you to check out. Of course, I'm gonna send you the Goodreads link because I'm not telling you to buy it. I want you to read about it first, and if it sounds good to you, then consider checking this book out.
Call 911 and tell. I'm just kidding. Call 911 and tell them what book I should read.
Oh my goodness!
This caller should read. Yeah. What's it called? I actually have a pen that I just dropped on the floor.
I'll put it in the chat for you. It's called.
I have a tattoo gun. 1 second. Let me grab my tattoo gun. We'll put it on my arm.
It's called Running on Empty. Running on Empty. Overcome your childhood emotional neglect. And I'm putting the link for you in the chat. This is a great book. It's written by Jonice Webb. She's a PhD. And this book has helped a lot of people.
Sorry. I'll stop writing that. I put Running on Empty, and then I started writing link in, and I'm like, okay, this is funny. Link in the chat.
Link is in the chat for you. Check out the
Goodreads.
Goodreads.
Running on Empty, that's all I need. Yeah.
If that sound, yeah. Sorry, I'm talking over you. I think there's a little bit of a lag here. I think.
No, man. Me and my coming from a state that isn't southern. me and my buddies have had so many great conversations just talking over each other. I'm sorry for the chat and the rest of the internet world, but yeah, there's no offense to me, man. Like, again, sorry. What were you saying?
I was just singing the praises of this book. A lot of people call in, and this book is one of the more popular books that we talk about. Check out the Goodreads. The link is in the chat for you, and I'm hoping that you get something out of that. I mean, I feel like my hunch, the only two notes I took during the entire call is that you were dealing with some anger management, and then you were struggling to accept success. And it sounds like you really curbed the anger stuff in a moment where you could have gone off the rails. And I think that's amazing. And then, but there was, it seems like those two could I mean, you mentioned you had emotionally unavailable parents growing up, and that you basically raised yourself. So, I mean, I wonder if those two things could be linked somehow, and I wonder what you'll learn from this book. And I hope we hear from you again. Would love to hear a good update or more questions for food for thought.
I will continue to, man. You're an interesting person to talk to, and at the same time, like, every breath we take is a fucking blessing.
That's right.
If you wanted to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Willy Wonka is... I got two books, because earlier when I thought about that, about how terrible this day was, and I looked up over to my left and saw some pink clouds and a purple and blue sky. It's like, can't look at that when you're dead. And
that's right.
I guess Willy Wonka was a book.
That's a success. Living to see the sunset is a success. And I wonder if maybe you could begin to try to see all success in the same way you try to stay alive every day. Each money is no different, and I wonder where you'll take that.
Well, I will call back soon, and the question I just asked myself is, like, who am I trying to be successful for? My wife, I'm successful to her, but, like, truthfully, who are we trying to be successful for? It's
a good question.
Gigantic planet full of monkeys on a beach somewhere that can steal your shit if you're not looking at them right, according to this lady.
Right. I've heard of these monkeys.
I talked today about, I was randomly talking to one of the employees at the plants I tend to at the hospital, and I was talking about our trip going to Costa Rica. Traveling the world is what I love to do. We're going there in November, and the lady chimed in and said, "There's monkeys on the beach that can steal shit." I'm like, whoa, okay, that's fucking nuts. And then later she chimed in telling me the sloths look like they're slow, but they strike fast. And she told me this like 4 times. And she put up her little claw and looked like it's going to fucking spear you. I'm like, Jesus
She's trying
Christ,
to scare away.
Crazy.
She hates tourism. You got capitalist monkeys and monster sloths.
And then she told me about this line of people that were radioing back and forth about, like, her destination because she was teaching English. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm going to call back. I'm going to be a recurring caller. We can call myself Super Mario Brothers 2. So, yeah, when I call back in, I'm going to refer to myself as Super Mario Brothers 2 because that's a great fucking
Just know that if anybody... I have a reflex, and I don't even have any control over it anymore, where if somebody says my name is, I just toast them. So please don't... to call in and say my name is, because you'll get toasted.
What happens is my name is what, like some shady said.
Right. You will get toasted before the name even comes out, is what I'm saying. So don't do it.
I'll say,
I have people calling in here saying some insane things.
Oh no, I've chimed in a couple times, and I really do, Julian, appreciate your efforts here. Like, you're very attentive to what the caller says. That's your main priority, and I keep it that way. I am a guy that's off the wall, dude. I'm all over the fucking place, like, all the time, even with people that I know well.
I like it.
What's he going to say today? Who knows?
LC from the chat says, "Thank you for being so real with us," and I agree. I enjoy your energy, and You got a good sense of humor.
Why be fake, man? Why be fake? Why be mad? That's too much energy.
There you go.
That requires writing another book that doesn't exist, which is your life.
That's right. All right, take care of yourself and call back again anytime. Have a great night.
Don't call me later, dude. Sorry.
See ya. I saw Tina Bean asking where my lemon water is with a gasp. Yeah, my jug was not clean in time for the stream, so I got my giant water bottle instead, filled it up with a bunch of water. Also, lines are opening again. While we're waiting on lines to open, do you guys want to hear? My soundboard is improving. I can now play guitar on my soundboard. I've been playing guitar my whole life, and now I'm so good at it, I can play it on my keyboard. Let's see here. Oh, wait, where is my... Oh, my soundboard closed somehow. Lines are open, guys. Call in whenever. Here's my guitar playing chops. What do you think? I have a future? Yeah, I'm slowly populating the soundboard. I've got too many sounds is the problem. Okay, guys, lines are open. We will sit here as long as it takes. Sometimes there's a little bit of a lag. It's no problem. And, of course, as soon as I say that, some calls start coming in. We're going to dive right back in. We had a little fun jam session there. Hi, thanks for calling. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, thanks for calling. Can we start with your age and a brief introduction?
Yeah, I'm 21. My name is Angie, and...
Toast. Angie, I'm so sorry I toasted you. No names, no locations. I hate toasting people here. That is a rule we have to protect the callers, so everyone here feels safe to share whatever it is on their minds. That is toast count 1 for tonight. I'm sorry you got toasted. Call back again. You can call back tonight if you want, and I won't. I don't keep track of your number, so if you call, I won't recognize. And I will answer, and we will have a conversation as long as you omit your name and location, and don't give us names of anybody else involved. Toast count 1. So now we're back to guitar playing. That's my favorite one right there. I'm gonna have to get some more sounds. Oh boy. I did add a police siren. I don't know when we're gonna need to use that one. What else do I have in here? I'm gonna leave it as a surprise. I don't know if how useful the soundboard's gonna be on this stream, where we try to keep it pretty tame. But yeah, the guitar's pretty safe. Who doesn't like amazing guitar skills? Play Freebird. That's Freebird. That's my Freebird sound. I'm gonna release a troll album where it's just me playing guitar on this number pad here. No singing, maybe with singing. I'm gonna give that idea to Jeffrey. Sounds like it's up his alley. That's basically what Jellyfish is. Basically just a bunch of guitar mumbling. Some of these comments to the guitar player are so funny. Such talent, says Squilliam Tentacles. Do I teach guitar? Peter wants to know. It's really easy. You just press 1, and then you press 2, and then 3. Those are actually 3 different sounds. They're slightly different. And then you press 4. 4 is my favorite. And then you can press 6 if you want it to slide up. And I have some other ones in here, but honestly I'm scared to press them because there are some inappropriate ones. So I'm pressing very cautiously. I've got burp sounds. I've got fart sounds in here. I got all kinds of stuff that would not be good for tonight. I'm a regular juvenile, guys. This soundboard is, let's see, what do I have in here? I have, I thought about using this one tonight, but I didn't. Since we're waiting on calls here, I'll go ahead and do it. I was thinking about opening with this sound I have of a church organist gone wrong. Do you guys want to hear church organist gone wrong? This is like a horrible accident while a church organist is playing. Thought about opening with this. Welcome to Anonymous Live, number 48. Tonight, we will be discussing we don't know what, because we're waiting. And when someone calls in, we will know what we're talking about. Yes, that's a church lady playing an organ that falls, maybe a church man, I don't know, and that turns into an explosion. That's a real sound. Goodness gracious. All right, we got a call coming in, guys. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hello?
Hello. Can you? Sorry, you caught us in a moment of chatting with the chat. Can we start with your age and a brief introduction?
I am 23. You're a bit muffled. Hold on. Hello?
Hello? Check, check. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so can you give us a brief introduction?
I feel in a weird position. I've been in a long-term relationship. I'm really happy with it. But last year, long-term as in about 7 years. Last year,
7 years.
What's that?
Dating for 7 years. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
And last year in college, there was another person that whenever I was around them, I basically developed a crush, and I didn't know how to handle it because it really challenged how I thought about love. I tried to repress those feelings for as long as I could, but it got really uncomfortable because it was long distance at the time in college. So around the crush, we were in the same friend group, and I got to the point where I tried to open up to my girlfriend about it and think about the possibility of an open relationship, which is something we've never talked about. And that was really tough. And what's basically happened is the crush has ghosted me for I don't know what reason. I felt like we were pretty close emotionally. We related on a lot of mental health things, and we're vulnerable in conversation. So I guess my problem is that I've never had to move on from someone before, and I also have to do it while in a relationship that I'm really I ever thought I would be in.
So you're still with the original partner of 7 years? That
Yes.
relationship didn't end?
Nope.
Okay.
It's still going.
Is it strong, or was it affected by the question of opening the relationship?
It was affected, but it's one of those things where you get stronger from getting through something. So I feel like, in terms of the 7 years, I feel like we're at the strongest point that we've ever been. But I feel a lot of ambivalence toward the other person because I'm, I guess, angry, confused. The lack of closure is really kind of eating at me, and I still think about them. And I had a dream about them the other night, about the crush that is no longer in contact. So I don't know. I feel like it's been long enough where I should be improving, but I feel like I've kind of hit a wall in terms of moving on from that. And this is just, I guess, one part of my life against a larger backdrop of stresses, but this one, for some reason, seems the most important and personal because it feels paradoxical, but to be, in a sense, grieving it almost feels like a breakup, even though we never dated with my crush, because we were still emotionally close, and at the same time, it feels weird to be feeling this sort of pain and confusion while also in a very loving and positive relationship with a person I've loved for 7 years.
Right. Yeah, love is tricky. Love is complicated. What is it that you would like to use this time for? Is it, did you just want to get that off your chest, or do you want thoughts from the chat and me? Of course, like none of us here are going to give you relationship advice. We can't do that. We don't want to mess up your life. But it's an interesting question, an interesting dilemma, and interesting because love is, these kinds of things happen. And, a lot of people cheat. A lot of people, some people are polyamorous, and that's, that's a deal or a contract that people enter into. But you did the right thing in that you're in a committed relationship, and you, I'm not looking to get into the weeds here on the ethics of relationship styles, because that's a debate, and we don't want to do that here. But I hear you struggling with some confusion, and I think that's very normal. I think a lot of people, this is why a lot of marriages end. A lot of people get married and then get tempted, and then they cheat, and then a marriage ends because somebody cheated. But you did the right thing in not cheating, and so I think we can start by acknowledging that, and just, I think that's amazing. So I'd like to encourage you that I think you did the right thing there as a starting point for the conversation. You did the right thing by asking your partner their thoughts on it, and then respecting those wishes, and like the fact that you stayed with the original partner despite that conversation not going well says a lot about you, and it says about a lot about your relationship, in my opinion. So I think that's beautiful, and so I would like to celebrate that you handled that very maturely, it sounds like.
Thank you for saying that.
And I'm glad that the relationship wasn't rocked, because a lot of people have that conversation, and more often than not, it spoils the relationship because one partner can have a really hard time with it and think, wow, you want to be with other people. And like, some people have a more open mind to that kind of stuff, and some people don't. And again, I'm not looking to weigh those two poles, but the simple fact is that some people are okay with it and have a tolerance for it, we'll say, and some people don't have a tolerance for it. And so, yeah, I'll leave it at that. What is it that you want to use this time for?
I've just haven't really been able to get any, I guess, feedback or, I don't want to say, I guess, coping strategies for, I guess, getting over someone or moving past, or I don't know. I'm just thinking that I need to rush it, and it's normal for it to be taking this long or having this big of an effect. But even then, it's just not. I've been through a lot of tough situations and trauma in my life unrelated to this that I'm more comfortable kind of coping with because I'm familiar with it, you know. But I have nothing to really, there's no heuristic or anything I can fall back on for this. And I have no way of knowing how long it's going to kind of like plague my mind, so to speak, of being, I mean, I've tried to read up on attachment styles, and I know I'm preoccupied, and the other person is I'm blanking on it, but the one that avoidant, yeah. So I know that was like it sort of makes sense when I try to think about it in a detached way, but I'm still emotionally pretty cut deep from it. I only knew the crush for about, I'd say 6, 7, maybe 8 months. Probably 7. And even within that time, there was a couple months where they like ghosted me because they had a lot on their plate, but then they kind of reconnected. Now it's been 3, maybe 4 months where I haven't heard anything from them, and I'm like, I was pretty close friends with people that we're mutual friends with, but this time just feels sort of different because I just haven't. It feels like a close friend, even outside of the feelings of attraction. It feels like a close friend that just kind of left without saying goodbye and is living a normal, like nothing happened. And I'm just sort of confused because maybe I naively thought we were closer than we were. But even then, when I voiced those insecurities to like the person I had a crush on, they basically said that that wasn't the case. That they did enjoy our friendship and conversations and spending time with me. So I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of really disoriented.
Yeah, I can tell on your voice you're weighing through a lot, and maybe confused. Chat, if any of you have any experience with this kind of thing, for those who may be just joining, we have a caller on the line who has been in a relationship for 7 years, and a very committed relationship, but then developed a crush for someone and did not act on that impulse, but after some time asked his partner, sorry, I don't know your pronouns. You got a really deep voice from what I can hear through this thing. But the partner said no, that they did not want an open relationship. And the caller has decided to remain monogamous and true to the relationship. So if anybody has any experience with healing from letting a love interest go in that case, let me know, and I'll be looking at the chat to give to the caller here in a second. But one thing I'm curious about, caller, is it possible that I'm wondering two things. Number one, is it possible that you're struggling to remain monogamous? Is there still an internal conflict to remain monogamous somehow? And then number two, if not number one, is it possible that maybe this person, this crush, moved on with someone else, and that hurts? You mentioned they ghosted you. I wonder if maybe it could be one of those two things, either that you feel hurt or devalued in some sense by the crush, or if it's that you are still conflicted about monogamy because, and I only asked number one because you mentioned up top that this experience kind of confounded you a bit as to what love is. So I have those two questions for you.
I would say both. You might need to remind me of the other question in a bit. I'm going to start with saying that my crush did start dating my roommate at the time, and there were conversations that we all had, together or separately about it, so it wouldn't be hurtful for any of us or weird, and it felt pretty good at first, and I was, happy for them because I was really close with both of them, and really wanted their relationship to work. At the same time, they were both really open with their sexuality and open to the possibility of, polyamory or just open relationship. So that whole kind of, I would say it's weird because of I don't know, there's just a lot of layers to that, obviously, since I knew them both, and I could kind of feel after a while the closeness slipping away, and I tried to talk to them about it the best I could, but I didn't. I also wanted to be respectful of how they were, what they were going through, because there were other things going on in their lives that were, stressful.
Was there jealousy involved? Were you jealous that your partner was, or sorry, your crush was with your roommate? Was there jealousy? Or was it feeling devalued, or was it all of it?
It is jealousy, is feeling devalued. I think mostly with those two also, but I think mostly I just felt discarded, which I guess devalued.
Right. There's, people who are polyamorous talk a lot about jealousy. In fact, there's one couple I'm thinking of as you're talking, who are openly polyamorous, but they're married. They are each other's primary partners, but they are in an open marriage. They are both evolutionary psychologist PhDs, which is a very rare PhD. I think there's less than 100 of those. I could be wrong on that exact number, but it's not a lot of psych PhDs, and these two they're both authors and very highly esteemed in their fields, very respected, and they, I think I said this, they have a child, and they're in an open marriage, and they talk a lot about jealousy. I'm talking about Jeffrey Miller and Diana Fleischman. You might take note of them and listen to what they have to say about jealousy. I simply mention them because it sounds like you've got a conflict sounds like what you're asking is, am I cut out for monogamy or am I cut out for polyamory? And it sounds like that's a real struggle for you. And of course, none of us here can answer that, but I'm pointing you in that direction because they have a lot of good research on that. And it's it's not a new relationship style, but it's very recently in the spotlight, very heavily. And they are both very smart people, and they have a lot of talks on this. They've done a lot of podcasts on this. Jeffrey Miller has a couple of books on this. He has one called The Mating Mind. It's pretty old now. Are you familiar with that book, The Mating Mind?
I'm not familiar with either of them, but it sounds interesting.
Okay.
Tried to do some research a while back about, polyamory and monogamy, and
I'm not sitting here trying to tell you what to do. I'm sitting here with an open mind, hearing you, and trying to. I mean, I don't know what it is you need. All I'm suggesting is that maybe you do some reading on this, because it sounds like you don't know what you want, and I'm a fairly open-minded person, so I'm opinionated about some things, but I'm, even in my opinions, I'm pretty open-minded. I'll put it that way. The Mating Mind is also more than just about. So it's about a lot more. I'm typing more here as I say more. I'm not trying to type more. I'm trying to type The Mating Mind. The link for you in the chat to the Mating Mind Goodreads link. It's about a lot more than polyamory. I mean, he's an psych PhD, so he's writing about natural selection, sexual selection, and human nature. The subtitle of the book is actually How Sexual Choice Shaped the Evolution of Human Nature. Great book. Jeffrey Miller's a very interesting guy. He's also, he did a podcast on Spellbound with me and Andrew Rader a couple years back, maybe 3 or 4 years back now, where we talk about polyamory a little bit. Keep in mind, at the time, I was very, I had not heard much at all about polyamory at the time. So when that subject came up, I wasn't like shutting it down, but I was like, just keep in mind, it's a very old podcast, and I don't know what I said.
No, I understand.
I'm referencing this. I have no idea what I said in it. Just keep in mind, my views towards it have opened up a little bit. No pun intended. I'm not as judgmental about it or skeptical. I'm not as skeptical of it, I guess what I'd say. But check that book out.
Some of those podcasts on Spellbound, so I know what you mean,
yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah, I get that.
Okay, great. Yeah, it was a long time ago. But we're talking about Jeffrey Miller, and I'm a fan of his. He also has a book called Mate, but it doesn't sound like I'm not recommending that book here or suggesting that it's relevant. I'm just pointing it out so that you don't get confused, because he has 2 books about mating. He has one called Mate and one called The Mating Mind, and I believe Mate is a lot more popular, but it does not get into any of the sexual selection stuff, not nearly as much. So I'm just making a distinction there between those 2 books that are very similarly titled. So none of us here can answer that question for you about, of course, what you should do, or and we're not going to get into the debate of the best relationship style, but yeah, I guess you answered both questions positively. My 2 questions were: is it possible that you were struggling to remain anonymous, struggling to remain monogamous? A lot of M's. And then number 2, are you feeling devalued or jealous? And you answered yes to all of it. So I hear your conflict. I hear your confusion. You're also you're pretty young. You're not. The whole world is in front of you. You got time to figure this out. I'm really. I mean, it says a lot about you, again, that you're still in this relationship. It shows that you care a lot about your partner. And so yeah, I don't think anybody here is advocating that you jump out of this relationship that you've been in for 7 years. and this isn't that kind of stream. We don't get into what people should and shouldn't do. So yeah, I'm looking here at the chat to see if there's any. Let's see here. It's Primrose Dark says being married for 8 years and dating for 4 years before a relationship is never worth the misery we put ourselves through. If it doesn't bring joy, but instead fixation, move along. Life is short. That's an interesting thought. Of course, I don't know what of these are relevant to you, but I'm going to read a couple things. LC says, I'm guessing you have to decide if what you have with your current partner is valuable enough to do the emotional work needed to remain monogamous, or if it is worth the risk to let it go and find out.
I made the decision a while ago to stay in this relationship. It's
Does sound like that.
not really close anymore of weighing. I wait for some time. I guess you could say the value of my relationship with the importance of being open, or at least exploring my sexuality, which is something I didn't get to do before this relationship. So I feel like I missed out, but it's not as important to me to have that opportunity as it is to eat what I have with this person.
Right.
It's just I feel I don't think I'm. It feels more like I don't know if you know Daniel Kahneman, but it feels like a system one thing that's kind of caught up in the feelings versus a system two making a conscious choice. I don't feel like I'm making a conscious decision to not move on. I still feel it still feels really, I guess, fresh. The pain of being cut off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how recent was that your crush moved on?
About 3 months. It's July.
Yeah, that'll take time,
Yeah,
but
3
my
months.
somebody said this earlier, but it seems like an appropriate time to say it. It's too far back now, so I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, if there wasn't ever anything there, I'm mincing their words, but their point was that if there wasn't ever a relationship there, then time will heal this eventually. And of course, even if people heal from breakups and divorces after very long relationships too. So it's not to say that you can only heal if it's only a short relationship. I'm not saying that, but I think the point is that I think it's normal to have dreams about people that you're interested in or attracted to or were in love with, former partners. It's normal to have dreams like that. I don't really think dreams mean much usually. Of course, all kinds of opinions on that. Some people think you can interpret them. Some people think they have psychological meanings on the other side of the coin, as opposed to some people think they have like spiritual significance. So there's all kinds of opinions on dreams, obviously. But, I think dreaming about someone you were attracted to is very simple. Like you're infatuated, you're intoxicated by something about them, their essence, and your brain, they make an impact on your brain and make an impression. And I think it's normal to have those feelings. So I would encourage you to keep doing the great work you've been doing in your relationship with your partner and being committed to that. I think that's it sounds like you handled that very nobly in a very mature way. And just kudos and props to you for the self-restraint it took to remain loyal in that situation. I know a lot of people who would have cheated. I know a lot of people who did cheat. I know a lot of people who, and it's not to say that these people are horrible people. Some people just don't. A lot of people haven't exercised self-control to know how to restrain themselves in those situations. So I'm not trying to cast judgment if anybody here has cheated. That's not the point. Everybody makes mistakes, but the point is that you did not make a mistake there. So go easy on yourself and take some time to just continue reading and soul searching. You got plenty of time to do that at your age, even if you were 10 years older, even if you were 20 years older. Jeffrey Miller, who I referenced earlier, he didn't even become polyamorous till he was like in his mid 40s, I believe it was, or maybe even late 40s. So plenty of time to, there's no rush, and it seems like you know that, and you seem very patient and responsible. So I think that's amazing. And be good to yourself. Go easy on yourself. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I guess talking about it has made me realize that a large part of the uncomfortable feelings is maybe blaming myself or being upset that I allowed myself to open up to someone like that and entertain that possibility, even though I was trying to be true to myself. And then to have it, like putting myself in that vulnerable position and then having things fall out the way they did, I feel kind of silly and taken advantage of, even though I don't believe that was anybody's intent. Just kind of a stream of emotions that I'm not used to. I think I'm more upset at the person I had a crush on now than anything else. And I'm not used to feeling that sort of resentment towards someone that I care about. I'm not able to talk through it like I normally would with them. So I have to somehow figure out to find closure with just myself. Because there's a really strong possibility that I won't be able to have the conversation that I would want to have with that crush.
Right. Yeah, well, it sounds like that. I see some chatter in the chat. Some people who are just tuning in. If you're just joining, we have a caller on the line who has been in a relationship for 7 years and very committed relationship, and they met someone else and they developed a crush and they suppressed it for a while, and then they eventually asked their partner if they would consider an open relationship. The partner said no. The caller restrained themselves and stayed in the relationship that they were already in and let the crush go. The crush went on to date a friend of the caller's, and the caller is now dealing with a lot of confusion and some resentment towards the crush for ghosting after that all went down. So that's the recap for anybody who's just joining. And yeah, it sounds like that really made an impact on you. It sounds like that really, sounds like you really took it personally. And I wonder what goes through your head when considering that people, people do things in life that hurt us. People do things in life that confuse us. People are full of unpredictability because we aren't them. We don't understand their neural connections. We don't understand their motivations fully. We can get to know some of these things, but very rarely do we. In fact, we never fully know someone. We only very rarely get to know them intimately. And even then, we still don't fully know them. My point is, people do things all the time that confuse us and hurt us, but people don't do things. Most often, people don't do things to us or make decisions to spite us or because of us. Most people make decisions because they wanted to do something, and most often it has nothing to do with us. So I wonder if you've considered that maybe it wasn't personal, and I'm suggesting that because resentment, of course, you don't want to let that breed. That doesn't hurt anybody but yourself, and it's not good to harbor resentment, of course. So I'm suggesting that not to criticize you, but to I can tell you're in a lot of pain, a lot of emotional pain, and trying to figure out how you can extinguish that.
Yeah, I definitely took it, I think, personally. I don't really know why. I think it could have had something to do with just I feel how like emotionally close I was to that crush. It felt like after I had opened up to them and they knew me pretty well, I felt like they have to know the amount of kind of like hurt that they would cause me by how things kind of fell out. But I also have to keep in mind that they have their own issues and struggles and have things that they need to work on, have their own stressors. But it's hard to, if I like extend them that kind of benefit of the doubt, it's hard to do that without feeling like I'm minimizing my own emotions and hurt in the situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, she could have done it to spite you. I don't know. Maybe they could have done it to spite you. Maybe they're a narcissist. I don't know. But if that's the case, you wouldn't want to be with that person anyway. It doesn't make the pain any less real. None of these things make the pain go away immediately, of course. There's still some kind of process we have to go through to heal from any kind of thing like that. But, she didn't, doesn't sound like, I'm playing devil's advocate, I guess, because I can tell you're in pain, and I guess I see two possibilities, and maybe there's a third. I could be wrong, Chad. If I'm wrong, correct me. But, I'm seeing two possibilities. One is that it's that they have their own issues, and that maybe they didn't know what to say to you. Maybe they ghosted you because they didn't know. Maybe something happened, and they don't know They don't know what the next words would be, and maybe they just gave up trying. And if that's the case, maybe they'll be back at some point in the future. And maybe you don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'm not trying to rock your relationship at all. I'm certainly not, but I'm just saying, like, nobody knows what happens with relationships. Maybe 10 years from now, you're not in the relationship you've been in for 7 years. And maybe you meet somebody else. Maybe you're still with your partner from 7 years ago. Maybe this person comes back, this crush, and you're single, and they're like, hey, I was a real jerk. I didn't know what to say because XYZ. The only other alternative in my mind is that they did do it to hurt you, in which case that's not the kind of person you want to be with anyway. Of course, that doesn't make the pain less real, but I was trying to summarize my thoughts there.
Yeah, I guess the two things don't make sense.
And surely there's outliers. I see someone in the chat says they have a different opinion. I'm not trying to be closed-minded about that and say there's only two possibilities to any situation, but I'm talking about probable outcomes. Of course, there's always exceptions. There's always outliers. There's, this is why in contracts there's actual acts of God clauses. They literally put that in there because it's saying, like, we don't know. All we can do is, we're back to spreadsheets again in the Greeks. We average things out and make probability guesses. So I'm saying the most probable thing is it's one of those two. That's my point. I'm not saying it's the only possible, but it's maybe I should use the word most probable two scenarios. Those seem the most two probable.
Yeah.
So we do have we try to keep calls to 30 minutes here. We've gone a little bit over. It's okay. This is a very unique dilemma, and we all wanted to hear what you had to say. There's a bunch of good stuff for you in the chat that you can revisit. But I want to make sure that you get to voice everything you wanted to voice, and that we can make this a good call for you. Is there anything else that you needed to share? Of course, you can call back again anytime if you need to. But is there anything else that we missed that you want to cover before we end the call?
It mainly was just nice to be able to talk this out loud. Just for unrelated reasons, I haven't seen my therapist in a couple months, and this has just kind of been spinning in my head. I think that was beneficial to some extent to have that kind of
good
distant autonomy, but it's also not something I've been able to talk about with any of my friends because it's something I'm not really comfortable getting into. So I appreciate the opportunity to kind of use this as a sounding board, and I'm interested tomorrow in rereading the chat, and I think the book and couple you recommended is going to help a lot, I think, at least in giving me that direction, because I wasn't familiar with them, even though I've done some of my own research in that sort of area. I hadn't come across them yet. So I think this has been a pretty beneficial call. I don't want to hang up the lines much else, because everything else sort of periphery to this. I feel like I have the support in real life where I'm able to have what I need. This is such a unique personal thing that it was nice to have this conversation, Julian.
I'm glad that you called in. The chat's glad you called in. Everybody's thanking you for sharing the way that you did. Some people are saying it was a great call. I think a lot of people resonated with your dilemma. So thanks for being real, and feel free to call again anytime.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay. Thank you, chat, for being there for these callers. Lines are now opening. Again, we need a power-up sound for the lines opening. I need to find some kind of fun power-up sound. I'm sure I've got one. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hello?
Hi. Can we start with your age and brief intro?
Yeah, I'm 23. I'm sorry, I'm 24. My birthday was yesterday. Still
Happy
getting
birthday.
used to it. Appreciate it. I wasn't exactly expecting to get on here, but this is like probably I think my second time listening to you. And by explanation, do you mean like what I'm going through?
Yeah, so if you're new here, a couple quick things. No names, no locations here. If you reveal any personally identifying information like that, we have to hang up. It's for your protection in case you don't want this online years later. It also protects people you might know who are involved. So yeah, just give us what's on your mind.
Well, I would say about a year ago, well, last June, I started having some medical problems that just came out of nowhere. And ever since then, I've been in tremendous amount of pain. And no doctors have been able to give me any answers. I had an upper anoscopy exam. It's like where they put a camera down your throat, and they weren't able to find anything there either. And just overall, within the past year, I haven't been able to do hardly anything. I've been pretty much bedridden. And it's more or less started to take like a heavy toll on my mental health. And I've never really been, I'm always the type of person who usually gets up and goes, and like once I'm up and I do stuff. And I help my grandparents a lot, and I haven't been able to do that at all for the, like hardly the past year. And it's just overall starting to like finally get to me, and I feel like this is just the way it's gonna be for forever, I suppose. I'm also sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit. I'm very nervous.
Oh, it's okay. No need to feel nervous. If you need to take a second to collect your thoughts, do whatever makes you feel comfortable. We're here to be a sounding board and to listen. We're here
I
for you.
appreciate that.
So did you say how long have you been bedridden for? Are you still bedridden?
Well, I say bedridden. I mean, when it first started last June, I was in the bed for a total of, I'd say, 3.5 months. I was in so much pain. I was so scared that something was going to happen to me in the middle of the night that I moved into the room with my mother and slept on like a floor bed because I was scared that something might happen to me in the middle of the night. I could pass away because at that point in time, it was the worst that it ever was. Like, I was vigorously shaking. It felt like an ongoing heart attack that would never end. And it was just a lot. And I do smoke weed, or did smoke weed, and because I use that for medical purposes because I have ADHD and anxiety very bad. And when this all started, I pretty much had to cut that completely out cold turkey. So I was pretty much just left with nothing to help me, and it overall made being stuck in bed worse. And the first hospital I went to when it first started, they pretty much turned me away because I had marijuana in my system, and they did an X-ray and an EKG, and they just told me that I was just having panic attacks, even though I expressed to them how much pain I'm in. Like, I know when I'm having an anxiety attack, and they just turned me away. And finally, within the last, I'd say 2 months, I finally started getting the attention of one of my doctors, and she finally started taking it a little more seriously, and she set me up to get the upper endoscopy exam and also an ultrasound, because around that same time I started having pain. Try to keep it a little more PG in my lower areas around my jewels, and turns out I have a left cyst on my left side of down there, and it's been causing a lot of pain as well. And I'm having to go in next month to figure out if it's cancer or not. Hopefully not.
My friend, you've been through the ringer.
I'm sorry?
I said you've been through the ringer. I'm so sorry to hear your story.
Yes, I appreciate it. And not just that, my uncle, unfortunately, 2 months ago, he was diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer. And it's just been like a lot on my family. And my mom's been trying to hold it together the best she can because, and my sister, she had circulatory cancer and a brain tumor in her head in the early 2000s, and she beat both of them and had the tumor removed. But also within this past year, they found out that part of the tumor was back. And my poor mother, she's been doing the best she can to hold herself together and, stay strong for us. And just like overall, like I've just been struggling with trying to like keep myself, strong enough to keep the will to keep going. And I find myself every day that passes now goes on that it's just been getting a lot harder to want to keep going. I'm not like suicidal or anything like that by no means, but I just wish that, some mornings that I just wouldn't wake up so that way the pain would just be gone.
Right.
But obviously I wouldn't want to do that because I care too much for my family, but it's just been very rough and not being able to get any answers for it and having to continue with the pain has just been a lot to bear. And especially, I'm sorry.
I'm listening. Sorry, I'm just responding.
Oh, okay.
Reacting.
And I, before all this happened, I used to take care of my grandparents because when I was younger, my father, he chose to use heavy drugs instead of raise me, and pretty much my grandparents on my father's side raised me, and now they're at the age where it's hard for them to get up and do a lot of stuff. And even though I'm in a lot of pain, I still, like, the last 4 months have gotten a little bit easier, I suppose, because my pain tolerance has more gotten used to it. And I kind of just pushed through it a little easier now, but I'm still in a lot of pain. And I go and do everything for them. Like I clean up the house, I go grocery shopping for them, anything to make life a little easier on them to keep them from having to get out because they don't really know how today's world really works anymore. It's kind of like giving them like a cell phone. They just don't really know how to handle it. So I try to take up for that for them, and then having to worry about them and being able to do anything I can for them, and now not being able to has put a lot more stress on me because they don't need to rely on me, but I choose to put myself in that position to keep them from getting into situations that, would cause them more problems or something where they would get lost and not know what to do. I try to pick up that end.
That's really admirable of you. It says a lot about your character that you, in your state, are just thinking about. Sounds like one of the heaviest things on your mind is you wish you could be more for them, and
I do.
Yeah, that says a lot about you. You sound like you have a beautiful spirit. I really hate hearing that you're struggling with your will to live. Of course, with what you describe, you have been through a lot, and you've met a lot of resistance, and you're in a lot of pain. So the doctors don't know what to give you. Is that right? They don't know anything about what you have.
They don't know what's wrong is what scares me, because I had an X-ray and it didn't show up any signs of like anything cancerous, because I guess that's how they tell if you have cancer is through an X-ray, because it would like show up as like a little black dot. They did an EKG, I guess that monitors your stuff in your body. I'm not too familiar. I'm not a doctor.
I'm not either, but that sounds right.
They did blood tests. Everything, like all the tests they do show that I'm fine, but when you know something's wrong and you know that it's wrong, that's kind of what I'm feeling. Like, I know something's wrong, they can't figure it out. And hopefully here within the next month, I'm going to be going to get I'm going to be getting a CT scan done, and hopefully that will maybe shed some light on being able to figure out what is wrong. Because I also feel horrible because I haven't been able to work due to this, and now I'm having to rely on my family for everything, and I don't like having to put that burden on them, even though they tell me it's not a burden to do anything for me. But it just hurts inside knowing that I'm having to put all this on them, and on top of that, them worrying about me.
Well, they love you.
It's just been a lot.
They love you.
Yeah, I get that. It's still just hard for me to. I'm fine with them loving me. I just hate having to put them through that and them worrying about me as well, because
I hear that.
on my grandfather's side, there's been like a lot of drama, and I've always been told that the reason when I was born, I pretty much brought the family back together because now they had a reason to stop all the drugs and all of this. My father, on the other hand, he had a really more tougher time getting through it, but he's clean now for a good couple of years now, and he's been doing really well.
Good.
But he kind of threw his life away, and now he's kind of at the point where even if he wanted to, he's too old to really, try to make anything of himself, because I do believe he's in his late 40s. I don't know his exact name. I'm terrible at birthdays, except for my own.
Well,
and I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. If you have more to share, I'm here to listen.
Okay. Just overall, I'm just scared. I'm just scared where this is going to end for me. I have hope that, it will get fixed, but at the same time, I have more doubt that it's not going to. And it's just overall just been a storm that just hasn't stopped for me.
Yeah, it must be so disorienting not being able to get the answers you want. I hear that frustration in your voice that you just wish these doctors could give you answers. That has to be so frustrating, not being able to get those.
It is.
There is a therapy. I'm not claiming, just so everybody knows, I'm not claiming this cures cancer. I don't honestly know, but I have done reading on this, and if I were in the caller's shoes, I would be looking into this hardcore. Are you familiar with the Gerson therapy? I'm suggesting this because you're not getting any answers from doctors, and they don't know what it is. Have you heard of the Gerson therapy?
I have not. Would you mind spelling it or putting it in chat so that way I could?
Yeah, I'm gonna put this link in the chat to you, so you can revisit it later.
Okay, I appreciate it.
This is a .gov link I'm sharing. The government. This is actually from the NIH, their Cancer Institute. This link I'm sharing. It's some information about the Gerson therapy. It's invented by Max Gerson. He's now passed. He died somewhere in the mid-century. I want to say 1960. There's a bunch of documentaries on him. He's a fascinating guy. He developed this therapy that involves drinking, and there's a lot of criticism on this, but a lot of people in your situation have had success with it. I'm not recommending that you do this. I'm just giving you some information to please do your own research on this. There's nothing dangerous about it. Basically, it's just you drink a bunch of juice. This guy invented this thing for himself because he had these migraines, and nobody could give him answers on why he had migraines. So he became a doctor and invented this juice regimen that cured his migraines. He claimed they cured his migraines, and so he started offering it to other people who had migraines, and then it fixed their migraines, and it became this sensation. And then after a number of decades, people found out it cured like tuberculosis, and these are reports. They reported that it cured cases of tuberculosis and even cancer. And there are now multiple Gerson therapy sites around the world where you can go and live. If you're in severe condition, you can go live there, and people will give you the juice regimen. It's a very intense juice regimen. You have to drink like 13 glasses of juice a day, and it has to be fresh juice. But you can do it at home as well. And I'm putting this link in the chat for you. Please research it before you do anything. I'm not telling you to do something, but this is a government link I'm sending you, so it's a government website, and there's a bunch of good information in here. I've never seen this until I was Googling, can you do this at home? And it turns out you can. So I would look into that. If you're not getting answers, just maybe read up on this. And there's a great documentary on Max Gerson. I can't remember what it's called. Let me see if I can find that for you. Max Gerson documentary. If you stand with me, I will surely be able to find this.
I'm horrible at reading, but I appreciate it so much. I will give it the best I can to
No,
read
it's a movie. It's a documentary.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part.
No, it's okay.
I also have
okay,
ADHD.
No problem. There's a few here. There's two here. I can't remember which one. I think I saw The Beautiful Truth. I'll put this IMDb link in the chat for you so you can check this out. I think I saw The Beautiful Truth, but there's another one called The Gerson Miracle. I'll put both of these in here for you. Now, just keep in mind when you do some research on this, because there is some controversy surrounding the Gerson therapy, but there are skeptics of the controversy who believe that it's there's skeptics on both sides. I'll put it that way, and there's a lot of people. I'll read this from the government website. It says, where is it? Because I was looking, I was like, am I going to recommend something? Am I going to recommend this caller read something dangerous? So I was reading it a little bit before. And they actually have something on this, on the common questions about the Gerson therapy. One of them is, where is it? Has anybody died? And it says, I'm reading here from the site, number 7, have any side effects or risks been reported from use of the Gerson therapy? The answer is, reports of 3 deaths that may be related to coffee enemas have been published. So, I mean, you're drinking juice. I don't see how this can, but please, watch the documentary and read this link I sent you. And I'm suggesting it because you're not getting any answers. I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to give medical advice here, but I feel for you, and I don't know. I would certainly be at least reading more into this if I were in your spot. And I already am a fan of this guy's work. I've never done the Gerson therapy, to be very clear. I'm giving a lot of disclaimers because I don't want you to think I'm telling you to do something. But
yes, I got you.
The beautiful, I'm putting this in chat for you now. This is the IMDb link. I don't know where you get this. I'm sure you can get it on Apple or maybe Netflix. I think I saw it on Netflix years ago, but I don't know if they still have it. And then this one, I think, I'm pretty sure I saw The Beautiful Truth and loved it, but it might have been The Gerson Miracle. Maybe watch both if you're able to. If you have some time, maybe you can watch both. I mean, this guy's a very inspiring dude, at the very least. I just put all that in the chat for you.
I'll give it all the time that I need.
Yeah. Well, I'm so sorry to hear about the pain you're in. I'm so sorry to hear about the confusion and the lack of answers. I have friends who have been, and some still are, in a medical situation where there are no answers, and I understand that that's got to be so hard. I can only imagine how hard that is for you. Easy Cheesy, one of our mods, says to you, it can be frustrating to visit medical professionals and not get any clarity on what's causing pain. I know a few people in life that have had that experience. I empathize and wish you the best, caller. And then Easy says, caller, you are strong every day for holding on to that hope. And I agree. I think you're a beautiful soul for enduring this painful and confusing experience and thinking of your family as much as you are. I think that's amazing. You seem very strong, and I want to applaud you for that. I really hope you get some answers, and I hope that this has been a good call. I don't know what it is you need, honestly, but I'm glad that you've felt.
I appreciate it so much, guys. I literally just brought a tear to my eye.
Oh.
And I just wanted to thank you because I've been watching you since the early YouTube days, and I really looked up to you when I was a kid. And it's something that I've always wanted to do is do YouTube or something along the lines to bring hope to other people. And I love what you're doing now with these live streams. I've been trying to watch them more often, and unfortunately, every time that I finally get to watch it, it's usually right at the end of one.
Oh,
well. And I'm glad I got to talk with you today. It's been an honor, honestly.
I'm glad that you felt open to calling and sharing about this. The chat loves you. Please go back and read the chat. You're getting so much love right now. The chat will take some time to process with the video. It usually takes. The chat replay should be up with the video replay in about 3 hours from now. So you'll be able to watch this video tomorrow with the chat in real time. But you're getting lots of love. Everybody is saying how strong you are and how loving you are, and you're getting a lot of encouragement. I hope you got something from this. We're all rooting for you, and please know you can call again anytime. In fact,
I will. Hopefully, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to add, in fact, if you happen to read into the Gerson therapy and find any good results, I would be very curious about that because I've never tried it. I've always been curious. I've always said if I were in a situation like that, I would probably look into it and probably try it. I just haven't ever been in that situation, so my research on it is literally just I've read a couple books and I've watched this documentary and that's it. So I really don't know, but that's what we do here. We talk about stuff. None of us are professionals. We're just trying to be good neighbors and listen to people. And some people have experience with some of the stuff people call in about, but most of the time we're just listening and we're never telling people what to do. So I'm glad that came loud and clear. This is the first time I've recommended something that involves ingesting something, so I'm admittedly a little nervous and I'm giving too many disclaimers, but I think the point is clear that I don't want you to just go try this therapy blindly, because I don't know.
Don't worry, I won't hold you
liable. But I appreciated the conversation and your candidness, and we're wishing you the best. Please call again anytime.
I will, and if anything does hopefully happen, I'll be sure to call back one day and hopefully be able to tell you that I'm all better. And I'd just like to say I love you, and I love the chat as well. Thank you so much for giving me the time and the place to speak about my problems.
That's what we're here for. Thanks for being real. I hope to hear from you soon. Take care.
You too. Bye, guys.
Good night. What a beautiful stream. You guys are amazing. This is... Gosh, I know I say this every time, but every time I'm just blown away. Like, I have no idea what we're getting into when we do these, and every time I'm always just blown away by the way people are using this place. This is such a beautiful and I just love how I'm soaking up how immediate this all feels. Like, this is not anywhere near as popular as anything else I do here on the channel. And I love that. I love that it's this small group that is here because we all care, and the chats are clean and friendly, and nobody's fighting or being, cheeky with each other. You guys are beautiful people. Thank you so much for being here for these callers and listening with me. And I always look forward to these. Huge shout out to our mods. Our mods are awesome. Tonight we had Easy Cheesy. I believe Easy was alone. I'm scrolling. It's the only name I saw in here tonight. And Nightbot. Let's see, Nightbot. What sound do you get? No, Nightbot has not been... I'm pro Nightbot, but Nightbot needs some... Nightbot gets these. That's what Nightbot gets because it needs an adjustment. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. We're winding down a couple minutes early. We don't have time to open up another call tonight, but thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are awesome. We do these twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that is at 10 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific, and I'll be here tomorrow doing another stream in the middle of the day. I'll be here at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. We'll be having some fun. I've got something in mind that I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but we'll be here tomorrow. We'll have a good time, and yeah, thanks so much for watching. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.